I'm gonna do this review very quickly. There's been a lot going on with Arcadia rehearsals and everything, so things are a little hectic right now and it's gonna be a really fast review, but I feel bad and I need to get a video up. So I'm going to be doing my review today on Ender's Game, and I just want to stress that I'm not going to be doing my review specifically on the book or on the movie. Instead, I'm gonna talk more about the adaptation aspect of it. I also think that when I talk about the movie, I'm gonna start wearing these because what else am I gonna use them for? So if you haven't read the book, Ender's Game is one of my absolute favorites. It's one of the few sci-fi books I'll actually read because I'm usually more of a fantasy person. For a brief summary, Ender is a child who is just very smart and very gifted, and he gets chosen to go on to battle school. It's set post-apocalyptic. The humans have defeated a group called the Buggers, a group of aliens called the Buggers, and they're scared they're going to come back, so they take these kids into space, into a battle school where they train and learn to be commanders and members of an army, and they learned how to fight. The book goes from, I believe, when Ender is about 12 to 16. Actually, he might be younger than that. I'll have to check my facts. Okay, so I just checked. He was 6 years old when he went to battle school, so it spans roughly a 10-year period of his life. Anyway, Ender advances very quickly through battle school because the upper elites realize just how talented he is and believe that he's going to be the one to command the entire army to destroy the Buggers. A lot of the book focuses on Ender's time in battle school, where he's mostly isolated but at the same time manages to make a few friends. Once Ender gets to command school, he actually starts playing on a game that they tell him is going to help him learn how to be a better commander. He starts commanding some of his fellow peers, and some people who are a little bit older than him, teaching them how they're going to go out and destroy the Buggers. However, the big plot twist for Ender's Game is that it's not a game they're playing. It's actually real life. Ender has been killing this other species ever since he went to command school, since his first day. Now, when I first saw the actual trailer for Ender's Game, the movie, I was so excited. I love the actors that they chose were fantastic, even if Ender himself was a little bit older than he was supposed to be. But let's face it, Katniss was supposed to be 16 in the Hunger Games, and as beautiful as Jennifer Lawrence is, she didn't look that way when she was 16, which is probably one of my biggest beefs with adaptation currently. The Harry Potter series is one of the few that actually did it right because they had to follow the kids for such a long span of time, so they actually got kids young enough who were able to pretty much follow them through. Now, while Daniel Radcliffe and all of them were not 17 at the end of filming for the 7th book, it was more believable than if they were 34. So this is one of the biggest problems with Ender's Game, the movie. Ender is not 8. I want to say 8 to 10, 6 to 10. He wasn't that young. The guy who played Ender was not that young. So you kind of miss so much of the fact that innocence was lost so fast in this child. But it's an action movie. I mean, the movie was made to be an action movie. Just look at the trailer. You'll see it from the very beginning. It was supposed to be an action-packed thriller. The book is less of a thriller. It's still very, very interesting and a great read if you haven't been able to read it yet. It's just not as action-packed as you might think because all of the scenes are taking place in your head. That's what happens when you read. But that honestly is another very big downfall of the actual movie. The fact that it was so adventure-based means that it took away from the ultimate climax of this story. The moment in the book when you realize that Ender has been killing this other species without even knowing it, it's as much of a surprise to you as it was to Ender, because you honestly have no idea when you're reading it. Now, I realize the book was released in 1985, but a lot of the games they describe in the book sound a lot more like Pong than anything that you saw on the screen. And when I say Pong, I mean some very, very basic technology. I realize it's in the future, which means that the movie itself did a good job of moving it forward to something that we haven't seen yet, but you lose something so crucial when you can't tell that it's fake. So much of the movie, especially the ending when you see him killing this other species and you see the spaceships going to the planet, it's so realistic and lifelike that when you look at Ender, you almost go, how did you not see that? How did you not see that coming? Now, to be fair, it is Ender's time. He's most likely grown up with things that are so lifelike and realistic to the point where to him it would be as big of a surprise as it is to the audience reading. But that's a problem because the audience has not grown up with Ender. We see something realistic and we go, wait a second, you're killing people. I realize I read the book before I went to the movie, but if you couldn't tell from the big game sequence that he wasn't killing these people, I'm honestly surprised. But once again, this goes back to it being an action movie. The action movie part of it is this big climax of seeing all these spaceships converging on this one planet in order to destroy a species. And you miss a lot of the action if you don't hype that up. So I understand where the director and writers and everybody was going with it, but it was really disappointing to someone as a book reader first that it wasn't as big of a surprise to anybody. And then my last point about Ender's Game, the movie, which was a little bit frustrating, was a lot of the things about the brother and sister they cut out. Now I understand in an adaptation you have to cut things out. I'm much more understanding than a lot of my friends that things can't be in a movie sometimes because the movie can't be as long as somebody would want it to. Directors and producers have to make decisions to say this can't be in the movie because it's not as important to the central story that we're trying to tell. And you do see Valentine and Peter, the brother and sister, quite a bit actually throughout the movie. But even so, you don't understand the depth to which they actually matter to the story. So much of how Ender grew up is because of how Peter treated him and how Valentine took care of him. You kind of see this in the very beginning with Peter making Ender the bugger and putting the bugger mask on him. But there's so much more to Peter other than him just being a bully of a big brother that you don't see in the movie. And that's really kind of sad. And then you do see Ender obsessing over sending Valentine mail and wanting to get in contact with her. And then you see her coming to greet him when he's on leave between battle school and command school. But you don't get the same feeling of how much she is needed because in the movie they just are siblings. Now, overall, I loved the adaptation. I thought it was really great and it was so exciting to see the battle school scenes where the kids are floating through the battlefield and having to strategize, and that was really exciting to me. And it wasn't, that part specifically was not as action based because it was a little more intellectual based. And the movie did a pretty good job of towing that line where you saw how intelligent Ender was, but then and you saw him strategizing, but then you also got the battle sequences. I'm honestly just picky about a few little things. I also really loved the casting. I love Harrison Ford. I thought the adults, the parents, Val and Peter were all cast really great. And I even loved the people who played Ender and his fellow battle school kids. The only problem is that they really weren't kids. And like I said before, that takes away a lot of the theme of the fact that innocence is being lost by these kids being taken into an army situation. But if you haven't seen the movie, I highly suggest you go and see it. But I would also suggest you read the book first. There's a lot that you miss depth-wise, I think, if you don't read the book before you see the movie, or if you don't read it all at all and only see the movie. So that's my review for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry it's not as in-depth as I would have liked it to be, but I promise I'm gonna do better as soon as Arcadia is over. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to check out our Twitter and Instagram below, and also check out my new gaming channel. I've got Minecraft videos and gaming videos up. And don't forget to keep reading.